Hey everyone, as some of you may know, I've been talking a lot about Androids, iPhones throughout the last couple of years, and there was a time where I would essentially buy phones and resell them. I think a couple of years ago. I don't really do it anymore, but many years ago, before I even started this YouTube channel, I had a phone which was the Nexus 4, and that was by far one of my most favorite Android phones and one of my most favorite phones I've ever owned in my opinion. It was great, I got it for a very good value at that time, and to be honest, I made so many memories with that phone, and I truly do wish I never resold it. I went ahead and resold it when I bought an LG G2, and in some ways it was actually a downgrade because the Nexus 4 was such a crazy good device, and I don't know why, I had so many memories with it. And when I think about the best phones I've owned, I always think about like the iPhone 10, the iPhone 7 Plus, but that Nexus 4 was like that second tier phone that I think I would probably put up there, maybe behind the iPhone 10 or maybe above it. Now with the Nexus 4, I was able to go ahead, I bought it for I think like $20 or something back in like 2015 or I think it was 2014, and that was a very good value at that time. It was a long story, but essentially I got that phone and I used it for about a year and a half. I custom ROM'd that thing as well, and I think even when I started this channel I talked about that Nexus 4 heavily because it was one of the first phones, at least one of the first Android phones that I actually loved. Now that Nexus 4 is so reminiscent of phones nowadays in my opinion. When I hold that Nexus 4 and I hold that Pixel 6 that is kind of like that newcomer for the whole entire Nexus Pixel lineup, there are so many similarities. I hold that Pixel 6 and I hold that Nexus 4, and it's crazy how many similarities there are between them. Glass on the front and the back, obviously with the front, great build quality, and for that cheaper price tag that the Pixel 6 is, for $599, that Nexus 4 was also a pretty cheap phone when it first came out. Now it didn't have the greatest camera, that was one of the biggest downgrades. I look back at photos I took at that time and it was horrible. My Nexus 4 that I actually had a complete cracked back on it, which was crazy. I tried to put a skin on it, I tried to replace it, but it never really worked out that well, and I always spent way more money than I needed to actually try to replace it myself. The performance was great at that time, but there were some random issues. For some reason, whenever I tried to go on Snapchat, that application would just crash my phone all the time. It was so random and I hated it. It was like a ticking time bomb. Basically, that phone would just like randomly power off. But luckily, I was able to custom ROM that thing, and that's where my love for custom ROMing really came up. I've had a couple Android phones before that, and I custom ROMmed those too, but that Nexus 4, there was just such a humongous community behind it, and I think even now there's still a fairly large community. I was able to root it, custom ROM it extremely easily. I installed custom kernels on that thing. I was able to change the profiles of the display, and there was just so many different things that I did with that phone that it really made me feel like that phone was irreplaceable. Even though I was able to go to a G2 and then with iPhones, I feel like nowadays when you go from one iPhone or one phone to the other, you just kind of get the same experience. With that Nexus 4, it really felt like there was just a huge community of developers behind that phone, and that was one thing that really switched my opinion on Android. And again with the G2, I wanted to make sure I got another phone that I was able to actually custom ROM, and I was able to custom ROM the G2, but there wasn't that big of a community behind it like the Nexus 4 was. Now, I still have a Nexus 4, but it isn't the Nexus 4 that I actually used back in the day. And I tried to reach out, I think like 2 years ago, to the person I sold that phone to, but that email doesn't work anymore. I just kept getting, or at least they haven't responded back, but they never responded back. So that Nexus 4 is pretty much gone for good probably, but I love that phone. So that's a phone I wish I never sold, and I kind of think about it from time to time. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.